Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to take a look at a movie that was one of the most well-received horror films in the last few years, and that is A Quiet Place. We're going to see how scary the movie really is, and as always I'll watch it alone in the dark. So the movie takes place in a post-apocalyptic world where there are only a few remaining humans. There are also these blind monsters that use their sense of hearing to hunt people. These creatures can sense almost any sound, even just talking from far away, but they're completely blind. We follow the Abbott family. They live on a farm and try to survive the attacks of the creatures, and the movie is actually pretty calm most of the time. Since they communicate exclusively with sign language and there's very little music, it's usually very quiet. But that also makes the scares way more effective. The first one comes when the children, Marcus and Regan, who is deaf by the way, are playing Monopoly. Wait, what the fuck? Hold on, go back. Okay, wait, so she rolls an 8, which means she should land over here. But instead she goes back one for no reason and then lands on go. Do they know how to play Monopoly? Is that his go-to move when he loses a Monopoly? He tries to set the house on fire? Okay, I got a little off topic there, but it did work really well. Of course, because it was so loud, the family is at risk of the monsters coming, and they do begin hearing something moving around their house. The father, Lee, tells everyone to stop moving to make absolutely no sound, but eventually he sees that it's just a couple of raccoons on the roof. Throughout that night, the family remains unharmed, but the same can't be said for the next day. There, Lee gives his daughter a new hearing aid which he worked on. He then takes his son out on a trip to learn more about the creatures, so that one day he can protect the family. But on their way, they come across an old house. Oh my god. A homeless man. This was one of the most tense moments. By now we've only seen the monsters and the one family, but when we see the mysterious man, it scares you a little because it seems so unfamiliar. And when the creature ends up attacking him, we don't know if there may be any noise made by Lee and Marcus that it might pick up on. So while this is happening, the pregnant mother realizes that she's about to give birth earlier than expected, and she probably can't do that in silence. Lee is still gone, but she tries to go into his office. Unfortunately, as she goes in there, she steps on a nail. It's probably the toughest scene in the entire film. Because everything else is usually very subtle and calm, it really stands out. Also, since she can't scream because it would attract the creatures, she can only sit there in silence, which really makes you feel for her. What makes it even worse is that she's the only one in the house. Her husband isn't there and neither is her son or daughter, meaning that no one can help her out. And even though she tries to be as quiet as possible, she knocks down a picture which makes a loud noise. Not long after, a monster comes into the house and looks for her. This leads to her continuously trying to hide from the creature as it comes closer and closer. Once she realizes that the baby is slowly coming out, she goes into the bathroom upstairs and lies in the tub. Luckily, Lee and Marcus soon return from their trip. They see that the mother is in trouble. To help her, Marcus lights a couple of fireworks, hoping that the sound attracts the monsters. Meanwhile, Lee loads a shotgun and checks every room in the house. When the fireworks go off, they make a loud noise, which makes all the creatures gather around the cornfield where they hear the sound. Once Lee checks upstairs, he finds his wife in the bathroom. At this point, you don't really know if she survived or not, which makes it very mysterious. Shortly before the fireworks exploded, the mother screamed out loud. This makes it unclear if the monster sensed her screaming. It could have left or continued looking for her. So while Lee is taking care of his newborn baby, Marcus is still outside. We also see that Regan is by the cornfield as well. She was resting outside and wasn't aware of anything that's been happening for the past few hours, but the fireworks let her know that something bad must have happened, otherwise they wouldn't have lit them. She walks across the farm to find her brother, but as she goes by one of the cornfields, her hearing aid starts making a high-pitched sound when one of the creatures comes nearby. We eventually find out that the hearing aid sound is a highly effective defense against the creatures, but at this point we don't know that, which makes it quite an eerie moment since the creature is really close by. We're not sure if it will jump out at her or not. Meanwhile, the dad puts his wife and child into a room that has been soundproofed. He explains that in this room they can talk with none of the monsters knowing. He also tells her that he needs to head outside to get his kids. They've made the baby go to sleep and put him into a box so the sounds he makes are further silenced. The mother then also goes to bed, but after the dad has been gone for some time, she wakes back up. The room is being filled with water from a lake upstairs. Also, a monster has found its way into the room, but hasn't sensed her yet. Oh shit. Since the proximity between the family and the monster is continuously shrinking, the fear keeps rising. We also don't know if the baby's been eaten or not, or if it's going to scream. Before we find out what happens, it's revealed that the kids are on top of a grain silo to try to get their father's attention. Regan is quite skeptical of their plan, but her brother assures her that it's going to work. Then as Marcus walks along the edge, he falls through a door inside the silo. To help her brother, Regan goes in there as well. She uses a piece of the door that fell in to rescue him. But of course, all of this made a lot of noise. This means that one of the monsters slowly approaches. This felt pretty intense because it's the first real time that one of the monsters is attacking anyone. By now we've only seen small clips of it running at people, but here it's shown how they would kill their victims. As it comes into the silo, Regan's hearing aid once again makes this screeching sound. The monster begins screaming out of pain and bursts through the silo's wall to get away from it. Both children manage to get out of the silo and try to walk towards the house. On their way home, they stumble upon their father. He's happy to see them again, however one of the monsters is still around. As it comes closer, Lee tells his kids to go into a nearby truck to hide from it. Once they're hidden, it's shown that the monster is behind Lee, ready to attack him. He notices this and tries to swing at it with an axe, but the monster is too fast and strong and knocks him to the ground. Out of fear for his father, Marcus screams out loud, and this attracts the creature's attention. Unfortunately, the kids don't try to flee the car, so the monster runs at them and begins clawing at the vehicle. To protect his kids, Lee screams out loud, making the monster attack him instead of the kids. As the creature kills him, the kids loosen the car's brake, which makes it quietly go backwards. After his death, the kids use the car to get home. The mother and the kids then reunite in the house, but it's still not over. They all go into the basement where Lee has his office. Marcus takes care of the baby while the mother talks to Regan. Then one of the creatures comes down there. Even though the mother has a shotgun, they initially try to be as quiet as possible to avoid any sort of confrontation. However, the monster knows that something is near. As it comes closer, Regan figures out that the hearing aid can be used to defend themselves. She gets the hearing aid and puts it up to an amplifier to make it as loud as possible. At first the monster collapses onto the floor, but it's not dead as it can stand back up. The mother then finishes it off by shooting it. They then look at the security cameras and see that more of the creatures are approaching. The mother reloads her shotgun and prepares to fight them along with her kids. Overall, I'd say this movie isn't really that scary. It's exciting and fun. The fact that nobody talked and the music being so minimal made it a really unconventional experience. In total, the movie has about 6 scares, and I'd say it ranks pretty low in terms of scariness, but it's still worth a watch. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope we get to see you in the next one. Bye guys.